The universe has something important to tell you. Amidst so many thoughts that arise when least expected, there are moments when life seems to whisper something that goes beyond logic. And today the universe calls you to listen with your heart. There is something going on between you and someone who has shaped your path. Something that requires more than words or explanations. This is no ordinary message. It is an invitation to see beyond the visible, to feel what has not yet been said. The universe wants to show you what is moving silently. There is a subtle, almost imperceptible movement happening between you and that person who occupies your thoughts so often. Although everything seems calm on the surface, there is a contained intensity, as if a new stage of the connection is quietly forming. This person is looking for something that they can't even define clearly, a confirmation that cannot be explained, only felt. It is no longer a question of observing their gestures, listening to their words or deciphering their attitudes. What she seeks now comes from a much deeper place. It's as if something inside her is asking for a spiritual answer, something that cannot be influenced by desires, appearance, or past memories. There is an intense desire to understand, to validate the connection between you, not because of what has already been experienced, but because of what is revealed on an invisible, almost sacred level. And as silent as this movement may be, it is firm, calm, and determined. The universe, in a way, is being called to confirm what the heart feels, but which the mind still hesitates to completely accept. This person has always valued control, especially when it comes to feelings. Any emotional fluctuation ignites in her the desire to understand everything rationally. But this time rationality isn't enough. What could previously be resolved with concrete signs now defies logic. She has already tried, in other phases, to seek this confirmation through more objective means, observing you from a distance, paying attention to details, capturing nuances of the relationship, but now she turns inward and at the same time upward, asking the universe to offer some definitive clarity. Some people think this is just a doubt, but it is not. It is a phase of discernment, a moment when the soul wants to be certain before moving forward. Even if you are close or silent, she feels she needs confirmation that cannot be manipulated or induced. Something pure, something that comes from a greater force beyond your words or actions. You may be picking up on this movement. You may have felt a change in frequency without realizing it. It's as if there were a communication that goes beyond the physical plane, a kind of silent dialogue, where her soul speaks to yours and the universe is the bridge. This type of connection does not depend on proximity, but on intention. She is trying to translate this spiritual contact into something more concrete, something she can touch and understand. It is curious to realize that, although the energy of love between you is strong, at this moment, it is suspended, as if it were in the background. It was not forgotten, just pushed back so that other perceptions could emerge. Her focus is completely on you, but in a different way. She observes what you awaken within her, how much a simple look, a phrase, or even your silence deeply affects her emotions. It's as if you have a power of impact that goes far beyond what you imagine. Even when trying to protect themselves, this person finds themselves surrounded by your presence. No matter how much time passes or how far away, your energy affects her. And that's exactly why she's now being so selective, so careful. She needs to be sure. She is filtering everything she feels and thinks, as if she were clearing the emotional field to discover what is real and what is projection. She may be going through a phase of important redefinitions, adjusting her vision of what she really wants in her love life. It's not about doubting yourself, it's about a search for authenticity. Perhaps in a symbolic or even literal gesture he has reevaluated his criteria, rewritten his expectations, redirected his intentions. What once seemed enough is no longer enough. And this change comes from the contact you had with your energy. Something in you triggered a break in patterns, a call for transformation. Even without you knowing it, you are at the center of a process of inner purification. This person is turning inward because they want to make sure they are moving in the right direction. The connection with you remains strong, but it is in another stage. You want to understand if what you feel is true, if the surrender is worth it. And more than that, you need to hear from the universe an answer that you already carry deep within your soul, but that you still hesitate to accept. She does not want this decision to be tainted by illusions or idealizations. Therefore, it maintains a certain energetic distance. Love has not been denied, but it is being examined. And it is exactly in this space of silence and retreat that the universe manifests itself with more force, preparing the next step. This person isn't looking to you directly for answers anymore. Instead, they're trying to find them reflected in messages from the universe. It's as if they've given up trying to control the situation with actions or words, trusting that if the connection is real, something bigger will confirm it. This surrender isn't easy for someone who has always needed concrete guarantees to feel safe. It's an uncomfortable but necessary process. What the universe is showing her right now goes beyond what the eyes can see. Small signs, repeated coincidences, dreams loaded with symbolism, or even inexplicable sensations appear like pieces of a puzzle that she tries to put together in silence. These aren't hallucinations or fantasies, they're subtle answers to a question she hasn't yet had the courage to ask out loud. Are you really the person her soul recognizes as true? This doubt, however, doesn't arise from a lack of feeling. On the contrary, it comes precisely from the depth of what she feels. The stronger the impact of your presence, the more she wants to be sure that this isn't an echo of the past, a disguised need, or an idealized desire. She knows that you stir dormant parts of her, and that awakens both hope and fear. The most interesting thing is that this person has already received signs before. She knows, somewhere inside, that there's something special about this connection, but her mind still resists, trying to protect her heart from a surrender that seems too big. It's as if the universe had already given the answer, but she's asking for confirmation of the confirmation, because now everything has become more serious, more real. Perhaps an intense exchange has recently taken place between you, whether physical, emotional, or energetic, that has left its mark. Something deep has been activated, something that cannot be undone. After that moment, she found herself forced to face a truth about you that was there all along but now became impossible to ignore. It turns out that along with this revelation also came fear, the fear of feeling too much, of investing in something that could fall apart. This is where the ego comes into play, trying to block the soul's impulse. She may have withdrawn a little or changed the tone of her communication without even realizing it. This doesn't mean lack of interest, it means protection. What the universe is trying to show her right now is that certain connections don't need to be forced to exist. They just are. And this awareness, as liberating as it is also frightening for someone who has always sought control. Meanwhile, you may be feeling all of this without knowing what to call it. You may have felt a subtle shift, an emotional distance that cannot be explained in words. And as contradictory as it may seem, this person is more connected than ever. Absence, in this case, is not disconnection, but an attempt to find herself before finding you again. And this movement has an important spiritual weight. The truth is, even if she tries to rationalize it, there's something inside her that already knows who you are. And that's why her silence isn't empty. It's full of searches, prayers, silent dialogues with the universe. Because what's at stake is not just a relationship, but a life choice. And she feels like she can do no wrong. It's possible that you are being tested without realizing it, not in the sense of being evaluated or judged, but as someone who is involuntarily being part of an internal awakening process. Everything you represent to her, your presence, your manner, your gestures, is being placed under a much more sensitive and profound lens. The connection between you is still alive, but it is going through a filter that requires more than desire or affection. It requires clarity, presence, and courage. And the universe, at that moment, is the mirror where this person tries to see everything they can't name in you. Because what she needs now is not a direct answer from you, but confirmation that what she feels is being supported by something greater. Something began to change inside her. What was once just intuition now becomes a concrete movement of redefinition. It's no longer about looking for what she needs to feel in you, but about reevaluating the very concept of what love is. What she wants now is nothing like what she has already experienced. It feels more mature, more honest, and most of all, more aligned with what really matters to her soul. It's like she's going through an internal screening. Old patterns are being left behind, the visions she had of love, relationships, commitments. All of this is being filtered. Something inside her cries out for authenticity, for an emotional experience that is not based on conventions, external expectations, or repetitions of the past. What once attracted her no longer satisfies her. And what once seemed distant, now makes perfect sense. She is adjusting the criteria, consciously or not. Maybe she did it in silence. Maybe she's even written down, mentally or on paper, what really matters. And it is in this process that you reappear, not as a memory, but as a living reference. The way you make her feel, even effortlessly, redefines everything she thought about true connections. This may explain why, even if there is distance or an absence of words, she has been unable to erase you, because it is not just about feeling, but about transformation. You have become part of an inner journey that she cannot ignore. Even when she tries to shut down emotionally, there is something in your energy that pulls her back to that point of reflection. It's as if the universe puts you in front of her again every time she tries to follow another path. And it is precisely this intensity that makes her hesitate. She wants to make sure she's not confusing desire with purpose, or need with destiny. So, she turns to the universe. Therefore, she asks for signs, silence, and space. Not because she has any doubts about what she feels, but because she wants everything to happen based on something deeper and truer than just impulse. She is wondering if she can really build something where there is space to be who she is, without filters, without fears. And if you are among the people who can see beyond the surface, that is so rare and valuable that it scares her. Because the truth is that she has rarely felt truly understood. And something about you gives her this feeling of being seen in her entirety, not just for her appearance, but for her essence. Even without understanding everything she is feeling, she realizes that she needs to change the way she gets involved. The old pattern of jumping in head first, of idealizing, of expecting too much, is dissolving, and the new one is still being built. Hence the silence, hence the introspection. There is a need for time, for breathing, for not being pressured. In this process, you may notice that the connection goes through a more subtle, almost invisible, but no less intense moment. It's the kind of phase where words aren't enough and everything seems to happen on deeper layers. And the universe is there, closely following this emotional reconstruction. Nothing stands still. It is being reworked carefully, with purpose. As distant as it may seem, she is closer to herself than ever. And this is essential so that she can also get closer to you in a real way, without masks, without doubts. But for that to happen, she first needs to recognize herself within this new version of herself. That's why even if you feel like intervening, asking questions, resolving the issue, perhaps it's best to respect that space, because her silence isn't disinterest, it's an immersion. And those who dive need breath, need time, need to trust that when they emerge they will find what they are looking for more clearly. And when that happens, the universe will have already put everything in its right place, including you. At first glance, it may not seem like it, but your presence continues to act within her with a force that defies explanation. Even on days when you remain silent, even when there is no apparent exchange, something in you remains echoing within her. And this echo is not soft, it moves, confronts, transforms. It's the kind of influence that doesn't depend on your intention, it just happens. She feels it. Sometimes, without understanding where it comes from, she notices an emotional turmoil after thinking about you or after some brief, even virtual, contact. A word, a gesture, a memory, any small element linked to you is enough to reactivate an entire internal universe that she tries to keep under control. And the most intriguing thing is that, even trying to stay focused on other areas of life, your energy seems to insist on remaining. This silent impact has made her question the extent to which her emotions are independent of the connection between you. And that's where a new dilemma begins: how to distinguish what is hers and what is generated by the bond that still exists. It's a confusing process because it messes with structures that she thought she already understood, but now she realizes that there is something in you that affects her on a level that goes far beyond reason. She tries to protect herself, perhaps by working more, distracting herself, delving into other interests. But all of this has a limit, and at some point in the day she ends up being confronted by the feeling again. Not because she wants to, but because the universe uses any gap to remind us that there is something pending, something that still needs to be accepted, understood, or resolved. Behind the calm that seems to emanate from her, there is a whirlwind of emotions that has not yet found an outlet. It's not about insecurity, nor about doubts about what you feel. It's about not knowing what to do with it all. Because, no matter how much she wants external confirmation, no matter how much she asks the universe for a clear answer, she silently knows that this answer already exists within her. What is missing is the courage to accept. The universe has already delivered enough signals. She saw, felt, experienced things that could not be coincidence. Moments of inexplicable harmony, unlikely encounters, simultaneous thoughts, dreams with strong meanings. This was all part of the process. But now what is at stake is no longer the identification of the connection, but the willingness to honor it. That's one of the reasons why she's so resilient. Honoring this connection would require a surrender that she may not yet be ready to experience, because it would mean abandoning old defenses, trusting in something that cannot be controlled, and accepting that not everything needs to be explained to be true.